Hey everybody, it's Tony Contaspati with the Great Vocal Majority YouTube channel, podcast, and website. And today I want to talk about this whole thing with the Donald Trump Jr. Emails and the Russian lady and whether she's in the Kremlin, whether she's not. It's collusion, it's not collusion. Here's my take on it. Unlike most people out there today in the media and anywhere else, I don't see this as being evidence of collusion. And hear me out on why I think that. Now, let's consider for just a minute what the narrative has been over pretty much the last year about Trump and his collusion, so called, with the Russians. What is the evidence of that? There is no evidence of it until they say now this Donald Trump Jr. email chain and meeting. But what has been their main assertion? That Trump and his campaign colluded with the Russian government to float negative stories about Hillary Clinton that would have sufficiently driven down her popularity and whatever, suppressed her voter turnout to the point where it enabled Trump to win the election and the presidency. Not that actual votes changed or anything like that. We know that to be the case. Everybody accepts that premise. But that Trump had efforted cooperation with the Russian government to do these things to Hillary Clinton. And now people are saying that Donald Trump's son having this meeting is evidence of that. I think it's the opposite. This meeting and the way it came off is actually evidence that there was no ongoing cooperation between the Russian government and the Trump campaign. Now, this is not to say that what Donald Trump Jr. did was naive and stupid to have a meeting with a woman, whether she was part of the government or not. Russia is a hostile power. Trump did get an email that said she was part of the government. So his immediate reaction was wrong. But was it wrong out of malicious intent? Or was it wrong because he just didn't know any better? And I tend to give him the benefit of the doubt because he does not seem to me to be a deceitful person. He may not be remembering every 15 or 20-minute meeting he's had during a political campaign that he's never been through before. Perhaps. I would cut him some slack on that. But the leaping to the conclusions that this is evidence of collusion to me is so far off base. It doesn't I don't draw that conclusion at all. I mean, it does not look good when he says, I'm great, I'm glad to get, negative information on Hillary Clinton from the Russians. That is not a good thing. But that doesn't mean he colluded with them, and that doesn't mean there was an ongoing effort. Because listen to me here. If there was an ongoing effort between the Russian government, if they were colluding, freely back and forth, would it look like this incident? I mean, he was given information about this woman from a third party, someone not even connected to the campaign, some publicist. I mean, and not even an American publicist, some British publicist, and yes, he represented this woman as a person in the Russian government, and that's really what's critical for Trump Jr.'s situation here. But I'm trying to look at this from a higher perspective, from a more global perspective, let's say 50,000 feet, and say, does this mean that, does this look like in the aggregate, like an intentional, organized effort of collusion? No. How could anyone say this? Now, does this mean it's problematic for Donald Trump Jr. And the campaign? Does the politics around this tend to discredit any denials from the Trump camp and administration that he had any kind of interactions with the Russians that could be construed as collusion? Yes, it does hurt their credibility. No doubt about that. I mean, you got to be honest, it does. But does this look like what they've been talking about for the past 9 months? No, it doesn't. And let's not pretend it does, because that's ridiculous. And for Tim Kaine to suggest that this is treason, Tim Kaine is an idiot. This is not treason. It's nothing even close. It doesn't even blah. I mean, it doesn't even make any sense to call this treason. So I just wanted to try to bring it back down to earth a little bit and say, yes, this does cause credibility problems for Trump administration. It does make Donald Trump Jr. look foolish. And I'll tell you one last thing it does. It really, a great disservice was done last night by Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity's like saying, hey, I ran out of questions. No, you didn't run out of questions. You didn't ask tough enough questions. Not that you needed to be hard or unfair to Donald Trump Jr., but you needed to ask him the questions that he is undoubtedly going to get from Democrats in the Senate and the House or wherever he testifies now. He's going to get a lot of hard questions. Like, for example, why couldn't Sean Hannity have asked, Russia is a hostile power, and you knew this woman was coming from Russia, and you were told she was a representative of some sort from the Russian government. Did it ever cross your mind that you're dealing with someone from a hostile power trying to give you information on a political candidate in an American election? Did it ever cross your mind that that was happening? Or were you just so blinded by the fact that you needed to get opposition research about Hillary Clinton? I mean, we know how he's going to answer that question, probably, but he needs to be asked the question. It sort of reminds me of the time in the first presidential debate with the Republican candidates, when Megyn Kelly asked Donald Trump what I thought was an obvious question about the way he treated women in the past. And everybody came out of their shoes over that one because they hated, the hate on Megyn Kelly was unprecedented. But that question needed to be asked, and it needed to be asked in an adversarial way, and Megyn Kelly asked it. And I think it actually helped Trump, because he pointed out that he hasn't treated all women that way. It gave Trump the opportunity to describe how he actually treated women, and that's what Sean Hannity deprived Donald Trump Jr. last night of. He gave him such softball questions and just basically commiserated, and half the interview was talking about all the shortcomings of Hillary Clinton, which is not even part of the. Why is that even in the discussion? Yes, we know there's a double standard. We know that, but and it's not good. But you don't serve Trump Jr.'s cause by talking about that, because now it looks like you were trying to avoid the issue, and the issue is this meeting he had with the woman that he should never have had because of the appearances of it. And that's really all it boils down to. That's it for me. I'm Tony Contespati from Great Vocal Majority. I hope I've given you some food for thought, and maybe if you think that I have, subscribe down below to my YouTube channel, because I come across with some more stuff every now and then. Take care, everybody.